Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk to you about Into the Water by Paula Hawkins and It's Always the Husband by Michelle Campbell. I received both of these books from Booksparks, which is a marketing company for authors. I am part of their summer reading challenge, and they're going to be sending me boxes every week of May, June, July, and August of books that I will be posting about on Instagram, and I'll probably be reviewing most of them here on BookTube as well. So these videos are not sponsored at all, as far as I'm not being paid to make the videos. I'm not being paid to post pictures. I'm being sent the books for free, and they're sending some other goodies too. You can follow me on Instagram. I post pictures of my boxes and books that I received there, and I've also been doing some Instagram stories of unboxings. I did not read Girl on a Train, so I had no expectations going into this. The basic idea is it takes place in the UK. There's a small town called Beckford that has a river running through it, and in this one area of the river they call the drowning pool, or they call it a pool, kind of a dangerous place, and throughout the centuries women have died in that area. My thoughts. So I gave this a 2. I didn't care for it. Basically, first of all, I found it really hard to follow all the characters. In my opinion, they were very flat and one-dimensional. The book is told in multiple perspectives. The lack of information and emotion that I felt surrounding these people, it was hard to follow, who exactly was related to who, and it was hard to keep track of who was talking. And I like multiple perspective books. I love Jodi Picoult. It's not that. It's just the writing style that Paula Hawkins has, I guess. It seemed very disjointed. The storytelling, wasn't sure what they were trying, what we were supposed to be getting from this, or what point she was trying to make, or who. It wasn't like, oh, it was just thrilling to try to figure out what, it just, I just found it to be strangely told. Also, there was what I think was supposed to be the very first death in this drowning pool was really interesting, and I think that's told fairly early, within the first 50 to 100 pages, I think. I thought it was really interesting, and I was hoping to hear more of that. I heard some people say, oh, well, it's just a slow burn, and you have to like and enjoy a slow burn, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with slow burns. As a matter of fact, when I talk about It's Always the Husband, I mean, this to me was the perfect example of how I would like a slow burn. To me, it wasn't a slow burn. It was just, when I was first reading it, I was enjoying the slowness of it. It was interesting. It was intriguing. It was, okay, how's this going to turn out? What's all of these events? What are the cause of them? So that was fine. I don't need huge twists all the way through or at all, if it's an enjoyable read, but I didn't feel that my problem with this was that it was slow. It just was poorly told, in my opinion. That there was no emotion. There was no ooh, it just wasn't there for me. In my opinion, the best thing about this is the cover. I found the ending to be very unsatisfying. I just didn't care. I never connected, to me personally, or with all the different things that happened just were never connected. Like, there were a couple that connected, but then there was no answer to all the other things that had happened, which to me was the draw of this. And that didn't end up being any part of it, unless, so I didn't care for it. I didn't feel compelled to keep picking it up. I would read a couple chapters and then be like, okay, let me go find something else to do. And then be like, I guess I gotta read some more. And it just never really captured me. And I want to give trigger warnings for rape, eating disorders, fat shaming. As far as eating disorders, specifically binging and purging, there is a small scene where a character does binge and purge, and me personally, someone that does have binge eating disorder, I did find that a little, like, uncomfortable, and not, okay, so, like, all of the talk about these things that I mentioned, it's just that I find them uncomfortable, and it's not that it's uncomfortable because they're important subjects that we need to talk about, but can be uncomfortable. It's not that. It's just that I feel like it was not handled well. If it had been discussed more, then I would have felt more comfortable with it. There was no discussion of, this person was fat shamed in her life, and this is how she got through it, and this is why that was a bad thing. And I mean, you're just kind of making all these connections on your own, which is fine, but I just felt like it was not handled well. It was not really discussed as I wish it could have been, or as I've seen other authors discuss, like, I have anxiety, and I've seen other authors talk about anxiety in their books in a way where that they're bringing awareness to this, and they're doing a great job, in my opinion, with my experiences. They're doing a great job kind of showing how it is, showing what it can be like. That's not what this was. This was like, I don't know, it was a means to an end, or I don't know. It was like she was trying to give this character some dimension, but it just didn't work for me. Personally, that's just my opinion. Other people might like it. There are other opinions, and as I will be talking about with the next book, there's as many opinions on books as there are books, and as there are people. So this is just my opinion. I'm certainly not saying don't pick it up and try it for yourself. But I'm just letting you know my opinions, because that's what I'm here for, is to share my opinions on books. So, It's Always the Husband by Michelle Campbell. I have to tell you, I was nervous about reading this. See, Problems of a Book Nerd recently read this, and she gave it a 1.5 stars. And I like Cece, and I respect her opinions. Yeah. So, but her review was very vague. I think she said something about not caring for the title, that it didn't have anything to do with it. But other than that, I don't really remember what her issues were. But I knew I was getting this from Booksparks, so I knew I was gonna read it. I was a little nervous, but I have to say, I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it, and it was a slow burn. So it did not have like any huge twists that I found like shocking or unexpected or anything like that. Even at the very end, it was just like kind of like yeah, that makes sense, and like very oddly satisfying. Okay, so let me just give a brief synopsis. This takes place in New Hampshire, where I live. It takes place at a fictional Ivy League college where a lot of the students are prep school kids. Follows 3 girls when they meet as freshmen. There's Kate, who is the rich girl from New York City, whose father is like the CEO of some financial company or something. And there's the townie, which is Jenny. Her parents are comfortable. They own the hardware store in town, and this town is just where she is raised. She's a good student, and so she got into the school based on her grades, and you know, her family is comfortable financially. And then there's Aubrey, who got in on scholarship. She's from the other side of the country. She's, bad family, has nothing, no money. She's got like almost nothing when she arrives. And so these three are sweet mates, and they become like unlikely friends. So you follow them their freshman year, and which ends in something happening, and then you fast forward to them when they're about 40 years old, and again something happens, and you see a little bit of what has happened in the in the interim, in those years between, what has happened to them, who they've married, and so without giving anything away, you're finding out what happened and who did it and why. And like I said, there's nothing hugely shocking. There was never any point where I was just like felt really anxious or like, oh my gosh. It was just a slow, easy read. I was curious about what would happen. A book that I just couldn't put down. It took me a few days to read through it. It's been a busy several days, but I didn't just take like one day and just read the whole thing in a few hours. But it was, and none of the characters are likable, really. I think there's one character that I did have like sympathy for. But in general, if you do not like books where you don't like, care for, want to be friends with, sympathize with the characters, then you will probably not like this book. If you can handle reading a book with characters you don't like, then I think it's worth a try. I am really glad that I was able to read both of these. So I don't know, if you liked The Girl on the Train, or if you didn't like it, let me know what you think, if you think I should give it a try at some point. Thanks for watching. Link on my social media below. I'd appreciate it if you could give me a big like for this video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.